Hey guys, welcome to another video. This episode is going to be about 5 perks of living in China. Now, these 5 perks are not going to be in any specific order, just 5 things that I like about living here. Now, these are based off my experiences. If you guys had different experiences and you have different things that you liked about living in China, put them in the comments section below. I think the reason we're doing this is because things just haven't really been going very well for us this year, and it's nice to remind ourselves as to why we're actually here in the first place.
So whether it's the food, the people, the weather, well, not so much the weather.
That's terrible today.
Let's get on the bikes and let's talk about this. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Let's go. I'm out here riding with Cmilk. He's doing his top 5 thing over there. That's why he's moving his arms around like a crazy person. And I decided to make this kind of a moto vlog, just to show you, you can see China as I talk about the perks. Again, I want to remind everyone that this video is 5 perks that I personally like about China, or 5 perks that I find that are perks about China. You might not necessarily also find them advantageous because it really depends on where you come from, what your expectations are, what you're used to, and all that kind of stuff. This is just for me. Perk number 1. I was gonna say, the usual thing like, oh, Chinese people, the people here are great. But I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. And what's up?
What we got?
I don't know. There. You fucked up my shot. I was logging the V and you fucked it up. So perk number 1 has to be all the different kinds of people you meet from around the world, because depending on the cities you guys go to, you're going to meet people from Great Britain or Canada, America, Australia, New Zealand, India, all kinds of places that you might not necessarily have the chance to meet them if you just stay back home. And that's the first perk I can think of is just having friends from different places. I was riding with Cmilk a minute ago. He didn't tell me what he was doing, and now I don't know where he went. He's gone. He's a maniac on the roads. I don't know how Winston keeps up with him on the ADV channel. There he is. Look at this prick. This is so different. Last time I was here, none of this walled construction was here. Perk number 2, again, these aren't in really any particular order. It's not like I like one perk more than the other. I'm just kind of listing them off as I go. But perk number 2 is prices. I come from Canada. Again, like I said, these perks are specific to me. You might come from a country where things are also cheap. And but I come from Canada where things are just expensive. Houses are expensive, cars are expensive, and I'm comparing this to America. Things in China are incredibly cheap, as I'm sure you can imagine. Where is Cmilk taking me? A construction zone. This is exciting. So yeah, prices. Rent is really, really cheap. Food, things you buy at the convenience store, the bikes we're riding right now are comparatively cheap to what you would normally buy in Canada. Even my car only cost me 7,000 RMB. That's, near as makes no difference, $1,000. Well, maybe a little bit more than $1,000. And granted, it is broken, but that's my fault. Oh my God, Cmilk, where are we? This place is disgusting. By the way, today is the most polluted, disgusting day I've seen in Guangdong probably so far. It's terrible out right now. I mean, look at the sky. You can't see it. But anyways, guys, again, that's just me. Compared to Canada and I guess America too, things are cheap. I want to give a more worldly perspective. I want to say these are perks that everyone will enjoy, but because the people that watch this video are going to come from different places, it might not make sense to them. It only makes sense to me. But you might have different experiences than I do, but this is just to kind of help you get a better understanding and a better idea of what your life might be like in China. So that's number 1 and 2. Number 3 is the biodiversity of China. A lot of you guys might not realize this, but China is huge. It's so big, and that sounds weird coming from a Canadian, because Canada's also really huge, but it's biodiversity. Canada, yeah, it's diverse. Ew, where the fuck am I? Let's go this way. Anyways, yeah, Canada, yeah, it's huge, and I guess it's kind of diverse from coast to coast, but when you look at China, they've got jungles and tropics, which is kind of where I live, and then you've got deserts, and you've got snow, and you've just got everything here. It's crazy. China's often compared to America in that respect, how, you know, America's the same kind of deal. But China, the ability, whoa, what the fuck? What are you doing? I want to go into Battery Co. Limited. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, biodiversity is huge for someone like me who comes from Canada. I mean, I lived in Ottawa where there's 4 seasons. But, you know, I got kind of bored of Ottawa. Not that it's a boring city. Ottawa's an amazing city. If you ever get the chance to visit, please do. But, you know, I lived there for 22 years and I wanted to go somewhere else. And I wanted to choose a country that had a lot to offer me, and so I chose China. So yeah, and that brings me on to my next topic, but you know what, I hate riding through this just disgusting, horrid, I mean, I don't know where we are or where Cmilk's taking us, but it's just disgusting here. So I'm gonna stop him, and we're gonna stop and have a little bit of a dinner. Let's see if I can flag him down. You want to stop for a little bit of dinner and finish the rest of the topics? All right, cool. So we're going to find a restaurant. We're going to sit outside, have a couple drinks, have a little food, and finish this.
So I got really tired of riding through that horrible part of town, and plus it's kind of rush hours, so the traffic got a little heavy. So we decided to do this kind of a What's Up style episode, and I've brought Cmilk along with me to talk about the final 2 things that I like about living here. So you've missed it, but we've talked about the price. Things are cheaper here. We talked about biodiversity. The 4th thing I want to talk about is adaptability. And I just mean like the skill set of adaptability. And you will never be as adaptive as you know, as you will be here in China. It will teach you that skill, and it'll teach it to you well. Things in China happen here extremely last minute. So if your boss tells you that you need to go on a trip, they won't book your tickets or plan anything out until like the day before, and that stresses a lot of foreigners out. Have you had any experiences with you know, having to be more adapted to situations?
Absolutely. It's almost like in China nothing is planned, or at least on the surface is planned, but no one seems to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I've known a lot of expats that come here, and that's the one thing that drives them out of China, is because they can't adapt to that. So
yeah,
it's not like adaptability is a good thing, it's mostly negative, but what it is it teaches you a skill set of how to be quick on the go, make a lesson plan real quick, whether it's catching a plane last minute or going to a meeting last minute. I think it's a good skill to have.
Yeah, exactly. Again, when I came to China for the first time, they said you're going to get an apartment in this part of town, and I got here and it was a hotel. Right. I lived in an actual hotel for an entire year with room service, and it wasn't a home. And because, you know, they kind of lied in a way. The company didn't really know it was going to be a hotel, but I had to adapt and live like that. So, you know, I think that's kind of specific to China.
For sure, absolutely. And, you know, like food safety, right? You have to learn how to cook for yourself or get things done yourself, right?
Yeah.
Paying your bills in a different language with an incredibly red tape bureaucratic society, right? There's all kinds of stuff that teaches you how to be a real man.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, you're gonna have to, I think in a lot of ways it breaks you down and builds yourself back up. And I know that sounds weird, but you know, when you first come in, a Chinese person will just look at you and be like, you're fat. And you'll hear this example being used a lot with Chinese people, but you're going to have to not get upset and adapt to hearing things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great point.
My next point is going to be, it's going to sound a little bit weird, and it's kind of a guilty, not necessarily a guilty pleasure. It's the reason I chose China. It's the biggest final reason I chose China. My big sister taught English in Japan, and like a whole boatload of people I knew taught English in Korea. And most of the people watching this will know someone who knows someone that went to China or
absolutely
to
Korea or Japan.
Korea or Japan to teach English or live abroad. Everyone's doing it nowadays, it seems.
And like the JET program and things like that.
Yeah, JET in Japan. And here's the thing about China, is it's still unexplored. You mentioned this in your video.
Yeah.
But when you go to Japan and when you go to Korea, I'm sure you're still gonna have amazing experiences. You're gonna meet new friends and try new things that are new to you. But the special thing about China is that they're new to everyone. No one's done the things that you've done. I have a funny feeling that when you guys did Conquering Southern China, which is out on Vimeo now for rent, is it?
Both rent and buy.
Oh, it's rent and buy now, so go check that out on Vimeo. But there's a lot of things that you guys tried that I would say that no one, even Chinese people, have tried before.
Yeah, we get comments like that all the time, and they're surprised that we had found things that they had never heard of.
Yeah, and there's something special about that. And I know it's kind of weird because it makes me like a tripster. It makes me like, oh, I'm doing things that no one's out. You know what I mean? It's
totally
kind
agree.
of, I shouldn't like those things, but it's why I chose China. Is
sure.
You get to do things that no one else gets to do, and it's also the accessibility of China. Because in Korea or Japan. I don't know. Do you think you can get on a bike and just go riding to a place that's you've never? It has to do with the size of those countries as well. It's quite a bit smaller than.
I mean, I think you could have a great time on a bike and exploring those countries, but deep in the back of your mind, if you're an adventurous or an entrepreneur spirit, then you're going to be kind of disappointed that you can go on any old, next door neighbor blog and find out that he's done it as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that sounds really elitist, but you can actually see it. It's very apparent in the way that foreigners act here. A lot of expats will actually not say hi to you on the street in China because their China dream is to come here and explore it for themselves.
Yeah, and they see you and they're like, oh, man. I remember, just to give you an example, me and you took a road trip. We didn't film it, so I'm sorry we can't show you, but we took a vacation
2 years ago.
More than a year ago now. Yeah. To Vietnam, and we rode through this small town, and there's these two foreigner backpackers with beards and the whole shebang, and they're having this great time, and they're like, oh my god, look at this small. They were doing it correctly. They were finding a small town that no one's been through before, and they're experiencing all these new things. And me and you showed up in the car beside them at the set of lights, blasting hip hop music, having a great fucking time, just ruin that experience for those poor
Yeah, because these guys just probably got off the boat and got their first ESL job in China, and they're like, wow, we're going to go take a little trip.
Foreigners here.
Yeah, exactly.
New, and we just ruined it. It's just terrible of us.
Well, I mean, I think it's kind of a shitty attitude to have if you're going to come. It's cool to want to explore things and try new things. That's really, really awesome. But to say like, oh, I'm better than you, because those guys were tripsters.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know, again, it's kind of hard to put that point into words, but the reason why I chose China is just because not many people are doing it. And, I've been to Korea before. And I don't know, it's been done, I guess. That whole novelty, it's lost its luster.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Anyways, guys, those are the 5 things that I personally find that I love about China. If you guys have other reasons that you like living in China, put them in the comment section below. Or if you live in a different country and there's reasons why you like it there, I'd love to read about it. Put it in the comment section. Also, you did a 5 things that you love about China as well, which is slightly different than
different perspective, my perspective.
Yeah. So check out his video on his channel. Oh my god, that's so spicy.
His perspective is shit, so just watch mine.
Check out his perspective on his channel. I'll put the link in the description below. And also don't forget to check out Conquering Southern China with him and Winston on Vimeo on demand. Is that what it's called?
Yep, that's right.
Yep. Also, I'll put the link in the description.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
No problem.
I promise you won't regret it.
Yeah. No, I've seen it already. It's amazing. You guys did a really good job.
Thanks.
Stay positive, comment, link, and subscribe at the bottom. See you in the next episode.
这是我们的本地的农家菜，也是我们的很新鲜这种，比较特别一点。
我们可以这样吃吗？
可以，如果吃辣椒都可以吃生的。
好啊。
Cheers，真的可以。
好 ，OK。
I swallowed the whole bloody thing.
Oh my god.
My stomach is doing somersaults.
Holy. It's getting worse.
Dude, like my stomach is turning inside out. I swallowed the whole thing.
That's unbearable. Is that like legal?